I just had to go and poke the hornet's nest in honor of Max Verstappen's imperious win at Monaco, the day when he surpassed a certain German's record for Red Bull. I thought it was only fair that I partake in this little debate that almost definitely earned me the eternal wrath of the comments. But hey ho, the question is a fascinating one to ask nonetheless. Is Prime Verstappen better than Prime Sebastian Vettel? In 2022, Max Verstappen and his Red Bull were like an unstoppable tornado, winning a mind-blowing 15 out of 22 races and clinching his second world title. The guy was on fire. It reminded me often of another incredible driver that used to drive for the Bulls. Sebastian Vettel, the four-time world champion, was truly in his prime during the 2013 season, snatching a victory in 13 races and achieving a jaw-dropping streak of 9 consecutive wins. Something that Verstappen is yet to surpass. It's not surprising that Max's dominance today has earned him lofty and very deserved comparisons with Sebastian Vettel. So it's only right that we take a look at which of these incredible drivers were better in their prime. Yes, I stress prime, because it doesn't really make for a fair comparison otherwise. I mean, Max is still pretty young and he could get much better. So for now, I'm just gonna pit his 2022 season against Seb's 2013 season. Now then, both Verstappen and Vettel didn't have the smoothest start to their championship-winning campaigns. In 2013, it was Kimi Räikkönen who grabbed the season opener victory, with the likes of Fernando Alonso, Nico Rosberg, and Lewis Hamilton also enjoying their moments on the podium during the first half of the season. Vettel managed to secure 4 wins in the opening 10 races, but it was after the summer break that he went on his legendary streak. Verstappen's start in 2022 was equally sluggish, with 2 DNFs in the opening 3 races, including a heartbreaking season opener. Adding insult to injury, the races he failed to finish were won by his title rival, Charles Leclerc. After the 3rd race in Australia, Verstappen wasn't even in the top 5 of the drivers' standings, and Leclerc had a comfortable 46-point lead over him. However, both Vettel and Verstappen turned the tide and finished their seasons like they were a tsunami and the rest of the grid was a swimming pool. After gradually finding their rhythm, Vettel wiped the floor with his opponents after the summer break in 2013, winning all 9 remaining races and sealing the title with 3 races to go. Similarly, Verstappen became untouchable after the summer break in 2022. He triumphed in Belgium, starting from a lowly P14, and then in Italy, starting from P7. In those days, it seemed like no matter where he began, a Verstappen victory was as certain as the copyright police striking my videos. Following the break, Verstappen claimed a staggering 7 wins out of 9 races and secured his second world title at the Japanese Grand Prix with 4 races remaining, much to everyone's relief. Seriously, we were all just waiting for this bugger to seal it at that point. But what about the records these two have held? Well, Verstappen has shattered numerous records throughout his career, but none may be as prestigious as his most wins in a season record of 15. This record was initially held jointly by Michael Schumacher in 2002 and Sebastian Vettel in 2013 with 13 wins each, until Max broke it in 2022 with 15 wins. There is a bit of context needed for this though. Schumi achieved those 13 wins out of 17 races, Seb won 13 out of 19. In comparison, Max needed 22 races to beat the record. When it came to the sheer margin of victory, Seb's wins were nothing short of exceptional. The German won the Belgian Grand Prix by over 16 seconds, the Singapore GP by a massive 32 seconds, the Indian GP by more than 29 seconds, and the Abu Dhabi GP by over 30 seconds. Verstappen's wins in 2022 were also nothing short of dominant, just like Vettel's in 2013. I mean, come on, winning by over 17 seconds in Belgium, more than 27 seconds in Japan, and a whopping 20 seconds in Azerbaijan. Seriously, did he bring his own teleportation device or something? It's almost unfair how he made his rivals look like they were participating in a go-kart race while he zoomed past in a Ferrari. Well, not literally, but you get the idea. So the two seem evenly matched in terms of race pace, but what about the qualifying pace? Everyone knows this really sets the greats apart from the rest. That ability to find those extra couple of tenths by wrangling the car around the track while the rest of the grid is scratching their heads trying to find the time. Just like I was trying to find the right time to ask you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Now then, where was I? Ah yeah, qualifying pace. Well, they're pretty much equal in this regard too. In 2013, Vettel had already dominated the season with a whopping 9 poles, so much so that fans were practically booing him for his sheer dominance. In Singapore, he was in his prime position for pole, and his Red Bull team thought, hey, why bother sending him out for more laps? He's already got this in the bag. Turns out they were right. Despite the best efforts of Rosberg, Hamilton, Webber and Grosjean, none of them could touch Vettel's one and only flying lap in Q3. Talk about making a statement. Fast forward to 2022 and Verstappen was in a similar situation. He had already dominated the season and it was pretty much a done deal that he would be crowned world champion. But then, just to add a little spice to the mix, he had to take an engine penalty and start from the back of the grid in Belgium. No big deal, right? Well, despite starting at the back, Verstappen didn't back down. He made sure to finish the qualifying, and in Q3, he unleashed one lap of pure magic. Even though it didn't affect his starting position due to the penalty, his time was still 8/10 better than Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, who eventually took pole. Verstappen, by comparison, had 7 poles last year, often being outdone by a certain Charles Leclerc when it came to qualifying. There was also a very striking, unapologetic ruthlessness to both Seb and Max when it came to winning. Remember the 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix? Ah yes, the Multi-21 incident. It's the stuff of legends. Seb had started on pole, but it was Webber leading the race after the Aussie managed to pass the pole sitter early in the race. With Webber leading and Seb following behind, Red Bull issued the Multi-21 instruction that Car 2 and Car 1, in this case Seb and Webber respectively, were to hold their positions. This effectively meant that Red Bull wanted Webber to take the win over Vettel for the sake of the team.
Sebastian, multi-map 2-1, multi-map 2-1. Come on Sebastian, you need to give him the space, hold position.
But come on, this is Vettel we're talking about. He's not one to follow orders blindly. So, what did he do? He went for the kill, passed Webber and snatched the victory right from under his nose. It was a move that left everyone in shock, including Webber himself, who wasn't exactly a happy camper.
40-21, Tim.
Max did something similar at the Brazilian GP in 2022. Despite starting at the back of the grid due to some unfortunate incidents in qualifying, he fought tooth and nail to climb up the grid, and even managed to pass his teammate Checo Perez during a safety car period. At this point, both Red Bulls had been chasing the Alpine of a certain Fernando Alonso. But as the laps went on, Max looked less and less likely to overtake Alonso, something that was also hurting Checo's pace. So, Max's engineer, Gianpiero Lambiase, asked him to let Checo through.
Max, if we don't pass Fernando on the exit of 12, can we let Checo through, please? Let Checo back through.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, Max refused. And pretty sternly too.
Guys, don't ask that again to me, okay?
Keep in mind, Red Bull wanted to get Checo ahead of Charles Leclerc to give him a better shot at second place in the Drivers' Championship. And not to mention, Max was already champion by this point. These two incidents we just discussed, they are proof, my friends, that we are witnessing greatness unfold before our very eyes. We're talking multiple world champions, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme. In the world of Formula 1, being ruthless is an essential ingredient for success. You can't just walk onto the track with a smile and expect to win. Seb and Max both have that ruthlessness by the bucket loads, that ability to just shut themselves off to the outside world and only focus on themselves, that focus and mindfulness to drive the car on instinct. Seb and Max are eerily similar, so it's really difficult to separate them, well, at all. I would argue that as good as Max's qualifying abilities are, I mean, he is arguably the best on the grid right now, they are not quite as good as Seb's were in 2013. Not only did Seb take more poles than Max did in 2022, he did it in fewer races, 19 versus 22. And he also did it against arguably tougher competition. The 2013 grid was absolutely stacked with bloody fast drivers. Now, that's not to say Max didn't have competition in 2022, but Leclerc could only take the circus that is Ferrari so far. The Red Bull was significantly better than its closest Scarlet rivals in terms of both race and qualifying pace, and Max still found himself getting out-qualified by Leclerc on several occasions. The only real contender for a title win in terms of history, experience and ability was Lewis Hamilton, who had shown in 2021 that he was very much capable of taking Max Verstappen to the brink should Mercedes deliver him a worthy car. So what did Mercedes do? Well, the car was bad. Like, really bad. And the Mercs were stuck competing with Alfa Romeos and Haas's for a solid chunk of the season. So yes, Max was dominant in 2022, but he also had very little resistance as it was. Seb, on the other hand, shared the grid with Alonso, Lewis, Kimi and Button. The 2022 grid by comparison boasted only Alonso, Seb and Lewis, and two of those three were never in contention for a race win at any point in the season. So it's not like Max was up against multiple experienced title winners at the top end of the table. And that's all without considering the fact that Seb had 4 world titles at the age Max has 2, despite Max having much more experience before being dropped into a title contending car. So I'm sorry Orange Army, but I'm gonna have to give it to Prime Seb over Prime Max. I mean hell, I wouldn't even be that bothered if I were you. The kid keeps winning and doing absolutely ridiculous things in that Red Bull. Case in point, his recent pole at Monaco. It is very obvious that Max is only getting better. So, who knows? Maybe we haven't seen Max's prime yet. Enjoyed the video? I'm only talking to the Seb fans because I'm well aware all the Max fans are going to be leaving dislikes on this. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel and watch some of my other videos, like young Verstappen's lethal rise to F1, to find out how Max's upbringing molded him into a world champion.